Hello everybody and welcome back to the F1 2021 Co-op Career Mode Season 5 for the season finale in Saudi Arabia. The first time we have been to the circuit in the desert, and hopefully we're in for a good one. I mean, the circuit wasn't exactly the best in the world, but maybe our entertaining driving can make this race and Season 5 finale even better than the race that happened several months ago. Of course, Jeddah now second race in the 2022 season, so we're expected to see that in the next couple of days. Anyway, in the meantime, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you know when the next video is uploaded. And we'll be getting onto the starting grid order for the final time in Season 5, potentially the final time ever for the Co-op Career Mode. And here we go. It is Yuki Tsunoda in the Mercedes taking pole position ahead of Red Bull's George Russell for his last race with the team. Then it's Lando Norris in P3. He's alongside Charles Leclerc in the other Mercedes. Then we have the two McLarens of Carlos Sainz and Guan Yu Zhou. And behind them we have Pierre Gasly, the new world champion, lining up alongside Sergio Perez in the Alpine. And rounded out the top 10 we have Esteban Ocon and Nicholas Latifi. Moving on, P11 and 12, it's Antonio Giovinazzi and Lance Stroll in both the Aston Martins. And behind them, Valtteri Bottas in the first Alfa Romeo, alongside Daniel Ricciardo in the first of the Williams. Then we have Robert Schwartzman in the other Alfa. He's alongside Radiant Slothz in the first of the Ferraris. Then we have Justin Freshpot in his Williams and Mick Schumacher alongside him, followed by Nikita Mazepin and Max Verstappen. Now let's get on with today's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Lining up on the grid for the final time in the Season 5 Co-op Career Mode. And it's lights out and away we go for the inaugural race of the Co-op Career Mode at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Oh, and Radiant Slothz has already had a massive accident with an Alfa Romeo. He's collected several cars with him. He's hit Daniel Ricciardo. That is not a surprise, a safety car already. We're barely into the first corner.
Box.
Justin Freshpot coming into the pits. He's been caught up in that.
Box.
Radiant Slothz also in. Robert Schwartzman out of this race before turn 1. Let's ride on board, see what happened. Gets away not too great, and then gets snagged by something behind him. And then his front wing completely destroyed as he then proceeds to get past Daniel Ricciardo and hits Mick Schumacher. This was Justin Freshpot. Long wait for the lights to go out there. He gets past Robert Schwartzman and then drives into the tyre of the Ferrari, which in turn causes both of them to crash into the wall, sandwiching Schwartzman into the barrier. This was Nikita Mazepin, who very bravely had the overtake button on before he even started the race. And he hits the Williams for no reason and then drives into the Ferrari and was ultimately responsible for that front wing coming off. Anyway, Radiant Slothz in, stops abruptly, followed by Justin Freshpot, and Nikita Mazepin should be in just a moment as well once he sorts himself out. The front wing shadow, of course, returning to the car, despite the fact it's not there anymore. And Radiant Slothz serves a 5-second penalty as he was deemed semi-responsible for the collision at the start of the race by the FIA. There's Mazepin. The Williams gets away nice and easily. Justin Freshpot not expected to be pitting this early. He didn't like this circuit, but he didn't want to be in this early. And Radiant Slothz, catastrophic error at pit lane exit.
Box.
Has damaged his front wing. He has decided that he's going to be coming in again. So, on to lap 3. There's another 5-second penalty being served by Radiant Slothz. Maybe that's to his advantage, but second front wing for his at the end of his second lap, second pit stop at the end of his second lap. We're on to lap 3. It is the restart. Safety car coming in. Well, we finally get underway. We've only got 13 laps of this circuit, so we don't want to be wasting too much time under the safety car. And Radiant Slothz immediately on the attack against Nikita Mazepin. He goes defensive. Mazepin weaving all over the place. But Radiant Slothz gets around the outside and then ultimately up the inside of Justin Freshbot, his former teammate, when they were both racing at Williams, up into P17 after a pretty disastrous start. And now he's up the inside of his teammate, Max Verstappen, up into P16. A great start for Radiant Slothz at this restart. He's going to carry on. Didn't track extend there, but he is going to be chasing down Daniel Ricciardo, Valtteri Bottas and Mick Schumacher, who is ultimately causing a mini train here as we come round this banked corner towards what can only be described as a ridiculous amount of corners as he spins the car out, drifts into everyone's way. I think he clipped the Nikita Mazepin there slightly, and is having to Austin Powers the car back in the right direction. This ride on board with that restart. And there's a confirmation. The safety car has been deployed, presumably for debris at the restart and Radiant Slothz spinning out. There we go. He's got past 2 cars there. Goes very heavy on the offence. Max Verstappen.
Box.
Radiant Slothz comes in. Max Verstappen was offline there, allowing Radiant Slothz to go past. This was Justin Freshbot at the restart, also trying to get past Max Verstappen. Verstappen goes incredibly defensive. Justin Freshbot almost rear ends the Ferrari and then goes wide into turn 2, which opens the door for Radiant Slothz. And then he has to stare at the back of 2 Ferraris coming down towards turn 3, where Verstappen again cuts across in front of him, forces him off the track. And despite getting past, it was off circuit. He has to slow down and allow Max Verstappen to come back past without allowing Nikita Mazepin in as well. But in comes one of the Ferraris as the safety car has come out again, and Justin Freshbot leaps up the order into P2. Guan Yu Zhou not stopped, which means that net P1 now belongs to Justin Freshbot, and net P2 belongs to Nikita Mazepin. I never thought I'd say those words, but here we go at the restart. Safety car is coming in this lap. Can Nikita Mazepin hold the podium until the end of the race? Can Justin Freshbot keep it out of the barrier long enough to get to the end? Who can tell? He tries one up the inside of Joe, his former teammate. He's not able to get past him. It's cost him a lot of time, and now Nikita Mazepin may be able to get a good run on him here as we come into this horribly twisty set of corners, which I'm hoping that from tomorrow when we see the qualifying here is actually much better in the new cars. We'll have to find out. Track extends slightly there. And the McLaren definitely drifting into the distance. Now on board with Radiant Slothz as he battles with Max Verstappen again. Now he's got the tyre advantage. Verstappen weaving all over the place. And Radiant Slothz sends it round the outside. Verstappen hits him for no reason. Radiant Slothz swipes back in aggressive retaliation. Gets it up the inside towards whatever this part of the circuit is. There's so many corners on this track. How on earth do you expect to commentate over it? Back with Justin Freshbot. Under attack from Yuki Tsunoda. George Russell also closely following. Guan Yu Zhou being gifted the lead here. We've got a yellow flag. Not sure what that's for. Nikita Mazepin possibly, who's causing an absolute dog of a train. Getting in everyone's way back there. Presumably with hostile intent. Look at them all piling up behind the Haas. As Justin Freshbot successfully defends into turn 1. Yuki Tsunoda not able to get past. Callbacks to Brazil there. This was Radiant Slothz at the restart, I believe. Was not able to get past Verstappen. This is why he was battling. And he gets past Schumacher. Will he dispatch Verstappen or get any kind of chance going through this twisty section? Absolutely not. The loss of downforce does not really help. The Ferrari, no longer a glorified My Team car as it was at the start of the season. Unfortunately, though, is nowhere near the pace of anyone else. And as you can see, is only really good for battling with the other Ferrari and against Haas. As this is the side-by-side. Look how close they are through here. Radiant Slothz runs it wide forcing Verstappen to give in, ultimately taking P17. Justin Freshpot now defending from George Russell. Yuki Tsunoda's given up, or his tyres have gone. We're not sure. He must have come into the pits by now. Russell looking increasingly infuriated behind the Williams, given that Justin Freshpot did steal that seat from him in Season 1 in a suspicious buyout. And George Russell goes round the outside. Tsunoda's up the inside. Oh, they've made contact! Justin Freshpot goes spiralling off the track. Radiant Softs goes up the inside of Nikita Mazepin as well. Surely they haven't reached the yellow flag zone just yet. Esteban Ocon up ahead as well. Radiant Softs loses the rear slightly, coming out onto the DRS zone. Nikita Mazepin's up the inside. Oh, they've made contact as well! Justin Freshpot's been called into the pit. Schumacher takes the position, says thank you very much. Verstappen takes P15. That'll be his best finish the whole season so far. Justin Freshpot nearly destroys his car on the pit entrance. And
box.
that's confirmation of Ferrari pulling in Radiant Sloths after that incident there with Nikita Mazepin. As we see the front wing be reattached to the Williams in a unorthodox fashion as usual. This is on board. The Williams holds the middle of the circuit, trying to be defensive, but ultimately is sent into the shadow realm by the side pod of George Russell, and unfortunately it just wasn't enough. And you could just about hear the contact there between Radiant Softs and Nikita Mazepin. Talking of which, we'll see them in just a moment. This was George Russell's perspective. Trying to get past, he pulls alongside the Williams. And he jinks to the left! George Russell has crashed into the Williams deliberately in a move likening back to Imola, where he hit Valtteri Bottas. This was Radiant Sloths just getting blindsided by Nikita Mazepin coming down towards the final corner in a similar move that Russell pulled. Let's watch Mazepin. That was the initial overtake there. Mazepin concedes, but then gets DRS, and because the Ferrari downforce package is not very good, he's got full drag on that car. Mazepin goes alongside, and Radiant Softs puts the squeeze on him, but Mazepin tries to go for the gap anyway, despite the fact overtaking was not allowed under yellow flags. But anyway, here we go. Radiant Softs takes revenge. He's not happy with the results of the season. He's not happy with Ferrari. He's been complaining all season long. He's hit Yuki Tsunoda as he tries to lap him. The Ferrari should be battling that Mercedes for the podium. Instead, it is scrapping at the bottom to not be last. And now his frustration's being fully displayed as he holds up the entire field now. Absolute chaos as 10 cars try to get past him all at the same time. They're jostling for position right now. Radiant Softs has nowhere to go to get out of the way. He's hit. Is that Nicholas Latifi there? Well, he probably deserved that, to be honest, given his previous behaviour. Multiple cars peeling off into the pit lane as they've been damaged by this altercation with Radiant Sloths as he tries to unlap himself on Esteban Ocon and does succeed in doing so, taking the runoff. Pulling up Valtteri Bottas into 4th position. I think I'm losing track of who's there. That is 4th place Valtteri Bottas, no longer though. And Carlos Sainz also taking damage in the McLaren. There's Nicholas Latifi as well, losing the front wing, and Sergio Perez crashing into Esteban Ocon crashing into Radiant Softs, losing part of his front wing also. Very hard to keep track of all of that. Big lockup for Radiant Softs, collects Nicholas Latifi, who quite frankly deserved it, as pieces of his front wing are scattered into the crowd by Guan Yu Zhou, who could have lost out really badly at that pit stop, but instead is able to get back into the points, thanks to Radiant Softs getting in everyone's way. And there is his teammate chasing Mick Schumacher. He tries to help, but unfortunately isn't able to do much. And Verstappen hasn't made an overtake all season, so it's not really likely to happen now. As we rejoin, it's his final lap. He's hit Charles Leclerc. Or was that Tsunoda? I really cannot tell. It might. Oh yeah, it was Tsunoda. Here comes Pierre Gasly, the world champion. Crashes into the side of him and destroys his front wing. And now he waits. Pierre Gasly has now finished the Grand Prix. It's all over. This is the end of Season 5. The line is in sight. Radiant Slothz crashes into Charles Leclerc and he crosses the line. Pieces of front wing going absolutely everywhere at the checkered flag. But of course, there is one more person to cross the line. It is, of course, Justin Freshbot. As he comes down towards the DRS zone, he's got Charles Leclerc. Sorry, that is Yuki Tsunoda, who's finished the race next to him. He hits Yuki Tsunoda and gets sent into the Shadow Realm. It may have actually been Charles Leclerc. I'm really struggling to figure out where we are at this point on the circuit, just due to the fact that we've had so many cars going past each other and being lapped. It's really hard to tell. The Codemasters lap counter only shows the onboard perspective as Justin Freshbot teleports over the line at the speed of light. Somehow his car is completely fine. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the Season 5 co-op career as we ride on board with Justin Freshbot as he made that collision with Tsunoda or Leclerc. It may have been Leclerc. And, spins his car back round. Very unhappy. And then just appears on the start-finish straight, unsurprisingly. Driver of the day goes to Antonio Giovinazzi, who I think managed to get it up there towards the podium. Great job from him. But Red Bull take the win. The final win of the season. The final win of this series. George Russell, congratulated by teammate and double world champion Lando Norris, joined on the podium by Antonio Giovinazzi in what has got to have been the craziest finale we have had so far, if you discount the one where we didn't even get to race because it was bugged. And here they are, walking out. Adrian Newey also joining his team on the podium. Red Bull set to dominate. If there was to be a Season 6, they would be the team to beat. They've come back from an incredible deficit to AlphaTauri, beaten by the sister team, and they have a point to prove. Maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't. And now for the final results of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is, of course, George Russell and Lando Norris taking P1 and P2, followed by Antonio Giovinazzi. Behind them we have Carlos Sainz, Lance Stroll, Valtteri Bottas, Daniel Ricciardo, Sergio Perez, Esteban Ocon and Guan Yu Zhou. So how did this affect the Drivers' Championship? Well, of course, the top 10 remain pretty much the same. Only one change there being George Russell leapfrogging Antonio Giovinazzi for third place in the final race. Behind them, Lance Stroll, another good contender from the start of the season, unfortunately couldn't keep up. Then Nicholas Latifi, Justin Freshbot, Yuki Tsunoda, Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton picks up P10 alongside with Charles Leclerc, depending on how you want to look at it. Further down the order we have Carlos Sainz, Daniel Ricciardo, Esteban Ocon, Robert Schwartzman, Radiant Slothz tied with Sergio Perez, Nikita Mazepin, Guan Yu Zhou, and with 0 points apiece, Mick Schumacher and Max Verstappen. And so over in the Constructors, we know AlphaTauri have won already, but they were followed by Red Bull in a very solid second place. Then we have Aston Martin, Mercedes, Williams, Alfa Romeo, McLaren, Alpine getting clear of the bottom two, Ferrari and Haas who tie on 13 points. That's all for the Co-op Career Mode for now. We'll catch you in the next one.